You know, every year, a banquet supports a local homeless shelter, and that fundraiser is in jeopardy this year with COVID-19. But if this year hasn't taught us anything, it's how to get creative, right, Kurt?
That is correct. As reporter Julio Avila explains, there's still going to be one, but it will look a little different.
We exist to help as many people as we can.
Each year, the Peninsula Rescue Mission has relied on an annual banquet that won't happen this year because of COVID-19.
Because many of our donors are older, they are uncomfortable coming out. The event can have between 500 to 700 people.
It's going virtual for the first time, and CEO Alan DeFries says he hopes the banquet raises the roughly $50,000 it normally does to sustain its expensive operations.
We provide, of course, 2 meals for them each day, breakfast and supper. They do sleep in a heated or air-conditioned facility. They have access to showers with, hot water. The staff also that it takes and the maintenance of the building.
And they'll need the help even more as the weather gets colder.
We just don't know. We are in touch with a number of rescue missions across the country, and already up north, the cold weather is causing the homeless to begin to come inside.
The virtual event is going to be held right here inside the chapel at PRM. The hosts are going to be right on the stage where there's going to be some music. There's also going to be information on the operation of the shelter as well as testimonials.
So we still hope to get that message and that gratitude conveyed to our donors, even though they're not in the room with us.
And you can be a part of it from your home.
We are definitely counting on this event to see us through the winter months ahead.
The virtual banquet is Friday, October 30th at 7:45. We'll have those details on WTKR.com. In Newport News, Julio Avila, News 3.
Well, we're less than 2 weeks to Halloween. Still ahead, what to keep in mind when putting together your child's costume this year.
The Military Watch is sponsored by the Singer Davis Law Firm.
News 3 is taking action for your health. Halloween is less than 2 weeks away, and if you're still planning on safely celebrating during a pandemic, there is something doctors say that you should keep in mind about your costume, especially if it comes with a mask. Our own morning anchor Jessica Larche spoke to News 3 medical expert Dr. Ryan Light.
Most of the Halloween masks are made to breathe through, but not to filter out any particles. So we really still want to use a mask underneath whatever mask we're wearing on top. One of the suggestions out there right now is to wear a mask that actually incorporates that. So, you could print something on the outside of the mask or draw on the outside of the mask, or even find a mask that works with your costume, which would probably be the best option.
So again, a costume mask does not take the place of a mask to protect us from COVID-19.
No, it does not replace that one. So make sure you get a mask that's going to help filter, and that's that 2 layers of cotton material is the best.
Dr. Light says for those who do some sort of trick-or-treating, and again, we hope it's safe and socially distant, here's the rule of thumb when it comes to candy.
When we look at Halloween candy, it is safe to eat. You want to make sure you're washing your hands. We know that the COVID-19 virus does not really transmit on the outside of packaging, but if you're concerned as a parent, if you wait 3 days, the virus dies on anything after 3 days. So you may want to have a candy bowl at home that's your candy bowl and replace any candy with that for the first 3 days before you allow your child to eat it if you're really concerned. But overall, it's a very minimal risk because it's not transmitted on the outside of packages. So if you open it for them and put the candy on the plate, then it's completely safe. Make sure to wash your hands first.
Let's all be careful, right? Dr. Light says with case numbers on the rise across the state and the country, it's important to make safety, social distancing, and hand washing a big priority this Halloween.
The Justice Department is suing Google. We will tell you why the DOJ says the tech giant has abused its power over internet searches.
From the JES First Warning Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Rocky.
Hey, let's check out what's happening in the tropics right now because we have a tropical storm swirling in the central Atlantic. Good news today with the latest forecast track for folks in Bermuda, which is right there, that tiny little dot right there. Storm yesterday was going to get very close to that island nation, and now it looks like it is going to stay on the east side of the island. 60-mile-per-hour sustained winds, gusts to 65, so the storm is gaining intensity very quickly, and it's starting to get some giddy up as well to the the north-northwest at around 12 miles per hour. You can see it making its way toward Bermuda and then making a turn off to the north before becoming a Category 1 hurricane. So it is going to push some water toward our coast, bring us some rough surf, the threat for rip currents, maybe even a little bit of tidal flooding. Back here at home, nothing to cause flooding from the skies. We've got dry conditions and it's warm in some spots. 83 right now in Elizabeth City, but 70 in Virginia Beach and Hampton. Same story in Norfolk. Temperatures will be easing as we head through the evening and overnight hours, down to around 64 for tomorrow morning. Notice areas of dense fog this evening, overnight, and as we head toward tomorrow morning. Will we make it 4 mornings in a row with the fog? I'll let you know coming up in your 7-day forecast.
News 3 is learning more about the terror that unfolded in convenience stores across Hampton Roads after a string of robberies. Reporter Margaret Cavanaugh picks up the story from here.
Portsmouth police sent us these images of a robbery at a 7-Eleven on Deep Creek Boulevard back on November 25th, 2019. The following day, the Newport News Police released this video showing an attempted robbery at a Shell gas station on Warwick Boulevard. Documents state that Darius Ford, Daniel Ziegler Azeri, and another unindicted man are accused of being involved. Documents state that Ford waited in the car while the two entered the store here. Newport News pulled out a firearm and demanded money from the clerk. Police say one of the males attempted to open a safe but was unable to. Over the course of several days, the men are accused of several robberies, according to court documents. Crime analyst Richard James says law enforcement from different cities worked together on this case.
Connecting the dots and found out we have the same suspects using different locations and different times. And then the best strategy there is to combine your resources together and take it on the federal level, which is what they did here.
Take a look at this map that we made for you to show you the different locations. First, that 7-Eleven hit in Portsmouth. The next day, a convenience store in Hampton. 25 minutes later, that Shell gas station robbery in Newport News. Then a Portsmouth convenience store 40 minutes later was robbed. 4 days later, prosecutors allege a woman was forced at gunpoint to give up her car in Hampton. Then 3 more convenience stores robbed between November 30th and December 1st in Portsmouth and Chesapeake. And it wasn't just money taken during the robberies. Court documents indicate that a clerk's cell phone was taken, cigarettes, cigars, and even a bag of chips in other situations. They say the men are facing 14 charges each.
Any proceeds from the robberies they can forfeit. Any items they've already seized, they can forfeit, and any personal property to take care of fines and fees, they can forfeit.
Authorities say during the final robbery, a tracker was embedded in the stolen money. They were charged with robbery and other charges and could face 40 years in prison if convicted. No upcoming court dates are set right now. I'm Margaret Cavanaugh for News 3.
The Department of Justice has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Google. In a landmark case, the DOJ and 11 states accused the tech giant of abusing its market position over searches and search advertising. The Justice Department alleges that Google is, quote, maintaining its status as a gatekeeper through an unlawful web of exclusionary agreements that shut out other competitors. Google controls about 90% of global web searches. The litigation marks the government's most significant act to protect competition since its groundbreaking case against Microsoft more than 20 years ago.
Well, President Trump travels to the key state of Pennsylvania today to rally supporters in the battleground state with 2 weeks to go until Election Day. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
President Trump travels to the key battleground state of Pennsylvania today, where recent polling shows he's trailing Joe Biden. First Lady Melania Trump was supposed to join the president at his rally in Erie, but her chief of staff released a statement saying in part, with a lingering cough and out of an abundance of caution, she will not be traveling today.
You didn't think I should have closed our country.
Ahead of Thursday's debate, the president called into Fox and Friends to lash out at the Commission on Presidential Debates. Their new rules will give each candidate 2 uninterrupted minutes at the start of each answer by muting the other's microphone.
These people are not good people, this commission. A lot of funny things go on with them.
President Trump has also complained that the debate isn't focused solely on foreign policy. The moderator plans to ask about race in America, national security, and the coronavirus pandemic.
The president previewed he'll go after Biden over his son Hunter's business deals in Ukraine and China.
I think he's imploding. You look at all the corruption in his family, it's tremendous corruption.
The Biden campaign says President Trump is, quote, afraid to face more questions about his disastrous COVID response and is more concerned with the rules of the debate than he is getting a nation in crisis the help it needs.
He was informed that it was lethal in proportion. It would kill 5 times as many people as the flu. He was informed. And what did he do? He stood at rallies and he stood before the American people and he didn't tell you what he knew.
Biden is off the campaign trail preparing for Thursday's debate, but former President Obama will hold a drive-in rally for him in Philadelphia on Wednesday. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Hampton Roads is gearing up to celebrate Family Volunteer Day. Coming up, find out how you and your family can make a difference. Learning has been a struggle for many families nationwide, and that's when you actually have the resources. With more than half of the nation's largest school districts offering only virtual instruction, teachers, superintendents, and social workers are facing similar crises. Chicago's public schools have had the largest drop in enrollment in decades this fall by 15,000 students. Dallas has reported a 7% decline, and Metro Nashville public schools in Tennessee saw enrollment declined by more than 4,200 students. Middle and upper income districts are also reporting some declines in online participation, but the biggest declines in attendance, however, tend to be in lower income districts. One of the main challenges being the lack of permanent housing.
I think the first challenge for us was making sure that when we were up and running with the program that our children had devices at home. We did have families who did not have internet. They did not have Wi-Fi in their home or in their apartment. And unfortunately, we also serve a pretty large homeless population.
Studies show that children who miss 10% or more of school days a year are at greater risk of dropping out in later grades.
In our neck of the woods, the City of Newport News is offering free tutors to the kids of city employees. Newport News is the first in the nation to offer this perk. In partnership with Tutor.com, all of the city's full and part-time employees will have free access to one-on-one tutoring. It's available 24/7. Covering more than 75 subjects. Tutoring is a crucial resource right now because of COVID-19. K through 12 students will have access to student study, skills training, drop-off essay review, and SAT, ACT prep. The pandemic has brought about virtual learning for many students this term, and some students are struggling more than others to adapt. This tutoring tool aims to keep the kids connected, focused, and sharp.
As we approach the holiday season, there is an opportunity to give back and get involved with others.
Volunteers are needed to help support several local organizations for a global day of giving next month.
Sounds like a wonderful thing to do, and News 3 reporter Kofo Lasaki explains how you can make a difference.
Volunteer Hampton Roads is gearing up to celebrate Family Volunteer Day on November 21st. It's a global day of service that celebrates the power of families who work together to support their community.
We thought, how can we reach out to nonprofits that may not get that help during this time of year?
This year, things will look a little different. Instead of gathering 500 plus people in one building, they're offering a combination of virtual and outdoor activities to support 14 local organizations.
We want to complete 17 projects. Some of the projects are, cleaning up Hoffler Creek wildlife. Some are creating welcome baskets or, for hygiene kits for the YWCA of Southampton Roads.
Individual volunteers can sign up starting November 2nd online at volunteerhr.org. But right now, the organization is putting a call out for corporate sponsors.
Getting some of these projects completed or getting these in-kind donations have been a lot slower and a lot less this year. So that's kind of where we're trying to step up and fill in that gap.
They still need around 10 more sponsors to sign up by October 30th so they can provide volunteers with the supplies they need to complete their service projects. Sponsors can build a team of volunteers through their network of employees, colleagues, friends, and families.
We have one company that is going to use their warehouse for their team and their team's families to do their project. We have some that are signing up whoever wants to within their office, and then they're going to do it from their homes.
It's just one way to give back during this difficult year and bond with your family at home or your friends that feel like family at work. Kofo Lasaki, News 3.
COVID fatigue. It's hitting hard, Experts say now is the time to develop coping skills. Just ahead, the simple steps to improve your mood. 8,000 new coronavirus cases were reported yesterday in the U.S., and hospitalizations are on the rise in 38 states. As Laura Podesta reports, New York is now grappling with the decision to prevent further spread.
Coronavirus hospitalizations have more than tripled over the last month in Wisconsin. All 3 of the COVID units at University Hospital in Madison are now full.
I didn't have any COVID patients a couple of weeks ago, and now my whole service is COVID patients.
Dr. Alexandra